I think in everything I do, I don't just come to be in the system, I come to rebuild the system. So absolutely, there is a teaching that all of us have to deposit in this world. Otherwise, we're not supposed to be here. That's what you guys do here every single morning, right? That's what I believe. And so I think my teaching is about acceptance. It's about diversity. It's about inclusion. And so wherever it is that I go, I'm constantly teaching. Right. In fact, can I get some things off my chest? Just like
Please
two minutes.
Off your chest.
Okay,
Take
great.
3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your indulgence. So I think that it's really important for Kenyans to understand, and this is what I've been seeing, and the disabled fraternity are wanting these messages to be cascaded, across the nation as much as possible, which is language. That's the first thing I'll say. Language is really important. And this idea, or rather the tradition of saying persons living with disabilities, I think needs to be phased out. The correct term is persons with disabilities. So, you are your personality. You are your character. That's your identity. It's part of who you are. You are a woman, you're a man, you are black, you are tall, whatever it might be. And so when the society says persons living with disabilities, we're not living with disabilities. You live with your parents, you live with your auntie, you live with a housemate, you live with a pet. But a disability is not something that you live with. It's not something that's outside of who I am. It's correct. It's just like my personality, my character, my disability. So since, of course, Kenya is a signatory to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities from 2008, and that is how it is. The terminology is very clear. It's persons or people with disabilities, not living with. So number one, Kenyans, kindly, let's try and drop the living with that in mind. You're not living with blackness, you are black, for example, right? And then the other thing is euphemisms, okay? I don't know if anyone is close to the internet, if you can pull up the meaning of euphemism. Or I can actually, let me ask Siri to assist. Okay. Hey Siri, what's the meaning of euphemism?
Euphemism means a mild or indirect word or expression substituted for one considered to be too harsh or blunt when referring to something unpleasant or embarrassing.
Did we hear that?
I can repeat it.
Good.
A mild or indirect word or expression substituted for one considered to be too harsh or blunt when referring to something unpleasant or embarrassing.
Correct. So with that in mind, euphemisms are usually used, for example, to talk about sex. It's something that we're a bit embarrassed about, so it's a milder way to describe. Bodily functions, we use euphemism. Death, we use euphemisms, right? And then also, society has turned disability into euphemisms. Handicap, the word. I did some research a long time ago. And it seems to stem from a time where in the horse races, rich men come together, go to the horse races. And what happens is that the faster horses, they put weights on them so they can be a bit slower and at least give a bit of competition to the slower horses. There's a bit of competition, right? So that was called a handicap. You handicap the horse. So that is where it's reported, this word which we now use to describe or identify persons with disabilities comes from. That we are almost like, it's almost the idea of we are handicapped from the race of life kind of thing. We have an extra weight, an extra burden on us. So instead of just saying disability, we say handicap, because for you guys, not you, the three in the room, I mean you, society, the non-disabled, feel like it's a bit, it's a bit more polite, to say handicap.
Being cautious.
Correct.
Right.
Another euphemism.
Than to say?
Than to say disabled.
Okay.
Yeah. It makes you, non-disabled people, feel better about like acknowledging us by
But it
saying
doesn't
handicap.
better the situation of the disabled person.
Correct.
Okay.
So handicap is a euphemism in disability. Differently abled is a euphemism. Diffability instead of disability. Diffability. Handicapable, I've heard that as well being used. All of these euphemisms then sort of like water down our humanity. That's what I believe. And in fact, there's a report that I read that shows that the two most hated words by the disabled fraternity is handicap and differently abled. Because I mean, we're all differently abled. Sitting at this table, you're differently abled from me and each other, etc. So what's up, Another one, special needs. That is for me, that takes the cake, y'all.
Right.
Because as much as we are all special, none of us are special. That's my opinion.
Are
And
there people with special needs?
I think we all have special needs.
Like
What-
special.
What then should be the term that is non-offensive, non-condescending, and actually gives the humanity part of everyone its rightful place?
Person or people with disabilities.
That's it.
That's it, yeah.
And instead of saying that somebody who has sight disability, if you said someone was blind, would you be rude?
No, because that is the neutral term for that condition, if that person is indeed blind. For example, I call myself a visually impaired person, VIP. That's what I refer to myself, because I am visually impaired. Like I said, I wasn't born blind. I was born with full sight, and mine continued to decline over several years. So it was low vision, and right now I can, like, very small. I can tell like it's daytime. That's about it. I can't see any of you or anything. I'm sure that you're looking beautiful and handsome and all that, but I can't see, right? So I'm low vision, therefore visually impaired. Other people will prefer just to be called blind because they see nothing and they haven't ever seen, or whatever circumstances led them to that place. A deaf person would rather be called deaf than hearing impaired or hearing impaired, for example. So I think just calling something what it is, and then also realizing that everyone is an individual, and the way you want me to call you Eric Latif, because that is how you identify yourself.
Yeah.
I don't just come and call you Stanley Mbogwa.
No.
Right?
because.
Just because. Yeah, correct. Yeah. So I have to come to you and figure out, okay, what is it that you prefer? And then from there, take that cue.
Is it off your chest now?
Those things are off my chest. I mean, there's so much more to say, but
I have to